You know how we're always trying to find quicker ways, smarter ways maybe, to get our heads around complex topics?
Yeah.
Well, today we're jumping into some really interesting research. It's about relationships and therapy, but with a twist.
Yeah, we've been looking at parts of a study. It's called Simulated Relationship Dynamics and Therapy Outcomes.
Okay.
And it's basically trying to model relationships. Think of it like mapping the ups and downs couples go through, almost like, I don't know, a weather map.
A relationship weather map. I like that. So instead of tracking storms, they're tracking what?
Right.
Connection versus arguments.
Pretty much. Things like positive moments compared to, when fights blow up. But what's really wild is they use these maps as a starting point to create like fake counseling transcripts and even suggest therapy approaches.
Whoa, okay. So predicting the therapy forecast based on the relationship climate?
Yeah.
That's ambitious.
It is. But what's insightful is how they're looking for these underlying patterns. If a map keeps showing one person dismissing the other, maybe followed by withdrawal,
Right.
then the simulated transcript might show things like defensiveness building up, people shutting down emotionally. It's not just describing, it's trying to spot these sequences.
Okay, so that mapping part sounds crucial. What kind of details are they actually charting on this emotional landscape?
Well, the excerpts don't spell out the exact formula, but you can imagine them tracking how often affection is shown versus, say, criticism.
Makes sense.
Or maybe the intensity of arguments, how they end, or if they end well. Even balancing time together versus time apart, you could sort of rate these things over time.
Yeah, you'd see the peaks and valleys visually. But then how do you get from the patterns, to a therapy transcript that actually sounds real?
The thinking is that certain map patterns usually link up with specific ways couples communicate badly, the kind of stuff you see in therapy all the time.
Okay.
So if the map shows like a big spike in criticism and fewer good moments, the fake transcript might have lots of blaming, maybe stonewalling, difficulty seeing the other side, stuff therapists deal with.
Right, right. Now here's where it gets really interesting for me. Suggesting therapy outcomes. Does that mean they think these simulations can point towards which type of therapy might work best?
Exactly that. For instance, if a simulation keeps showing terrible conflict resolution, arguments just escalate, no one's happy at the end. The study might flag therapies focused on, calming things down, teaching ways to solve problems together. It's about matching the pattern to known therapeutic tools.
So it's less about a crystal ball saying this relationship is doomed or this one's perfect.
Definitely.
It's more like a framework to understand the specific hurdles and potential paths forward based on these simulated scenarios.
Precisely. Think of it like a tool, maybe for training or just for generating ideas. By looking at these simulations, researchers, maybe therapists down the line, could get a deeper feel for the dynamics.
And think about different strategies, maybe more proactively.
Yeah.
It almost feels like a flight simulator, but for relationships.
Yeah.
You tout out approaches without real-world consequences.
That's a great way to put it. And just like pilots use simulators, maybe these relationship simulations could help us all understand and navigate partnerships better.
Okay, so pulling this together for you, the listener, what's the main thing to take away from this deep dive?
I think the key idea is this really innovative use of simulation, trying to grasp these tangled relationship patterns and see how they might connect to what actually helps in therapy.
Yeah.
Just the idea of creating relationship maps and these simulated sessions, it offers a pretty fascinating new perspective, doesn't it?
It really does. And it leaves us with a question, I think. Thinking about these simulations, how much further could technology go in making therapeutic help more, personalized and maybe even more responsive in the future, something to chew on